Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Bruce Frisco. It is Thursday, March the 19th. This is CTV News. Tonight, trail troubles. Dartmouth Cove dispute appears headed for court. Nova Scotia dental clinics struggle with the lack of hygienists and assistants. And a March break like no other. Old meets new at Gaelic camp.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News. Here is Bruce Frisco.
Good evening. Just when the saga of Dartmouth Cove seemed to be settled, another shot fired today after the city refused to let a construction company infill the space it owns along the waterfront. The company is now barring residents from walking or biking or otherwise using the trail property. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness has more.
A new sign greeted residents walking the Harbor Trail in Dartmouth this morning.
Shameful is a nice way of putting what that is.
It was put up by Atlantic Road Construction, citing issues with the Halifax Regional Municipality.
We requested access to the property. The agreement allowed them a trail in exchange for us having access to the property, and HRM put a protection of property order in place, which didn't allow us to access the property any longer.
Company CFO Bruce Wood says the no trespassing order applies to the entire area along the waterfront.
It is private property and there's no trespassing. We expect people to follow the law. We expect HRM to follow the law.
Dartmouth Centre Councillor Sam Austin doesn't agree.
So the shoreline on that side would be private property, so they're within their rights to bar people from that, but they can't bar people from the public trail.
Austin had an idea late last week that something like this was in the works.
Myself and Jill Brogan with Save Dartmouth Cove, we each got lawyer letters on Friday afternoon telling us we were banned from their property, including the Harbor Trail, so I'm not surprised that they're now trying to extend that to the broader public.
It doesn't seem the public is interested in obeying the no trespassing signs.
It's a disrespect to this community. It's a disrespect to Dartmouth as a whole.
The company tried to block public access to Dartmouth Cove back in August of 2024. They put up concrete barriers to keep people out. They were eventually removed following letters from the municipality and Build Nova Scotia. Jonathan McGuinness, CTV News, Dartmouth.
A well-known musician from the Moncton area is still recovering in hospital after a brutal assault last weekend. John McLaren was attacked late Saturday night after a performance at a local brewery. His wife says he suffered a brain injury but can communicate and is slowly improving.
Makes you, think about how, how quickly life can change. And you have to, be grateful for every day you have, and never take for granted the times that you have with your loved ones.
Police charged a man with aggravated assault in the case earlier this week. An online fundraiser for McLaren has collected around $30,000 in just a few days. 3 people facing drug charges tonight after a St. Patrick's Day traffic stop in the community of Lance. The coordinated stop was part of an ongoing drug investigation. Police pulled over the vehicle on Highway 102 and seized a number of items, including cocaine, some prescription pills, cash, scales, and other paraphernalia. 2 women, aged 58 and 30, and a 32-year-old man were arrested. They have all got court dates coming up in the future. Extensive damage to a home after a fire in Moncton today. Blaze broke out mid-afternoon at a home on Leaside Drive. 2 people were inside, but they got out safely. Firefighters managed to snuff out the flames within 45 minutes. There's no word on a cause. A large section of one of the busiest roads in Cape Breton was closed for hours today after a multi-vehicle crash there. Grand Lake Road, the main artery between Sydney and Glace Bay, was blocked for several kilometers between the Kites Hill subdivision, and the Gardner Road. Cape Breton Regional Police say 3 people were injured. 1 wound up being airlifted to Halifax. In all, 4 vehicles were involved, 3 of them sustaining heavy damage. The road did reopen early afternoon.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Another major illegal cigarette bust to tell you about tonight. Police say they seized the equivalent of more than 1.6 million illegal smokes near Amherst. They were discovered in a van that was pulled over last weekend on Highway 104. The vehicle had Ontario plates, but the driver was a 69-year-old woman from Lower Sackville. If it sounds familiar, you are right. This was the second major seizure of illegal tobacco from a vehicle in a week. There's praise tonight for the New Brunswick budget from an unusual source, a huge multinational tobacco company. The province set aside $1.2 million to form a dedicated contraband tobacco enforcement team in the budget that came down Monday. Retailers and law enforcement have long argued that illegal tobacco hurts small businesses, diverts tax revenue, and helps to fund organized crime. And it would seem at least one major cigarette maker agrees with that. In a statement tonight, a spokesperson for Rothsman, Benson & Hedges says by expanding contraband tobacco enforcement with a dedicated team of professionals, New Brunswick is tackling head-on the organized criminal groups who use contraband to finance illegal activities. This dedicated team will help close any gaps used by organized crime and coordinate law enforcement activities to slow the growth of the contraband tobacco market and improve public safety. RBH, by the way, is an affiliate of Philip Morris International, Inc., which is, of course, one of the largest cigarette companies in the world with sales in 180 companies. Officials insist they continue to work toward a smoke-free future. More questions tonight about New Brunswick's budget, which will see millions more spent on health care. Critics note it will also see millions more spent on servicing the province's growing debt, and that will erode services for taxpayers. Here's CTV's Nick Moore.
New Brunswick taxpayers are going to pay $860 million this year just to pay interest on the provincial debt. That is $120 million more than last year. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation says this provincial budget is only pushing more problems down the road.
Essentially, for the first $1,000 in taxes every New Brunswicker pays, it's just being used to service existing government debt rather than being paid, towards infrastructure, towards healthcare, or being returned to New Brunswickers in the form of tax relief.
Creditors are also making note of Tuesday's budget. Morningstar, the fourth largest credit ratings agency in the world, says New Brunswick's rating will stay at A or high for now.
But we will be closely watching. At this time, we do think that there is still remaining flexibility within the current credit rating, but we are also cognizant and acknowledging of the fact that there is less room available now.
Today, the official opposition presented its response to the budget in the legislature, saying the Liberals have undone financial progress made under former PC Premier Blaine Higgs.
Today, families are being forced to shoulder dramatically higher costs, not for better services, not for improved outcomes, but simply to pay interest to banks.
Finance Minister Renee Legacy says this week's budget is laying the foundation for difficult decisions to come. Nick Moore, CTV News, St. John.
A Nova Scotia judge has reserved a decision in the case of a Cape Breton man fighting provincial fines of nearly $30,000 for defying a woods ban during the wildfires last summer. Jeff Ebley argued the province overstepped its authority by imposing the ban. His lawyer says the move violated Nova Scotians' charter rights, in fact.
The concept that the government provided in this case was to say that human presence itself is a proxy for fire risk. In other words, people are the problem. And that is not a rational argument, not a rational argument in a free society. It's certainly not rational in Nova Scotia, where, Nova Scotians are some of the kindest and most rule-following Canadians you're going to meet.
The province argued the ban was perfectly reasonable given the extreme fire risk and the fact it was a temporary measure. There's no word when the judge's decision will come down. A major transformation is in the works for a massive parking lot around the Micmac Mall in Dartmouth. Plans for 7 residential towers up to 40 stories supporting 2,800 housing units were before city councillors last week. The tallest buildings will be nearest the highway. City Council greenlit the planning and bylaw changes to support the development and reached an agreement with one of two developers looking to see it all come to life. 8,600 people are expected to eventually move into the area in the long term, but some locals say this is all too much.
I'm not against development. I think developing this site is a good thing to do. There's a lot of wasted space. However, I do believe this project is too large for the environment it's meant to fit into.
There will be an increase of more than 2,000 parking spaces for both tenants and customers at the mall. And a new transit terminal will replace the existing bus stop, coming in at a cost of $5.8 million. Some councillors did express dissatisfaction, though, with the amount of green space, or lack thereof, in the plan. All right, still to come tonight, Kaylin's full forecast, and we'll explore tipping culture in this country. Has it gone too far? Coming up next, though, getting to the root of the problem.
So I can be the greatest dentist in the world, but if I don't have a team that can support me to do what I can do, it grinds to a halt.
Turns out there's a shortage of dental hygienists and dental assistants in at least one Maritime province. Details are next. Come on back.
With Aaron and Peter. Win your share of $10,000 with Aaron and Peter's payroll.
Register now at move100halifax.ca and listen for your name starting at 8 a.m.
Now to a shortage you may not have known anything about. A lack of hygienists and dental assistants is taking a bite out of dental practices right across Nova Scotia. As a result, some of them are working longer and doing more, while the number of job openings continues to pile up. Here's CTV's Vanessa Wright.
Dr. Erin Hennessy has owned this dentistry in the heart of Wolfville for nearly 20 years. But for the first time in a long time, she admits she's tired. The problem isn't the job, but a lack of help.
Most dentists right now would tell you the thing that keeps them up at night is not the teeth, it's the HR, it's the staffing shortages.
With only one full-time dental hygienist, she's had to take on other roles.
And a dental office is only as good as its team. So I can be the greatest dentist in the world, but if I don't have a team that can support me to do what I can do, it grinds to a halt.
Her situation isn't unique. Dentistries across the country are battling staffing shortages, especially in rural communities.
We just cannot seem to get even dentists, believe it or not, but assistants and hygienists, you know, unless they live in that community, to drag them from somewhere else to relocate to a new place in a rural area has been the supreme challenge. It's so difficult.
Right now in Nova Scotia, there are 35 dental offices in need of assistants and 60 in need of hygienists. The situation so dire, a dental job fair was created in hopes to bring more people to the profession.
Part of the problem is people don't realize these careers exist and they can be very rewarding. So I think the bigger part of this event is to try to get people interested in careers in dentistry.
Meanwhile, Hennessy says her dental office has been forced to turn away new patients every week.
It does keep you up at night because if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, it gets harder and harder every day to put the smile on your face and get out of bed.
Tough to hear from someone who is devoted to fixing smiles every day. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Wolfville, Nova Scotia.
Thank you, Vanessa. We'll step aside for a quick little break here, but when we return, it's your complete maritime weather forecast, and I'm not entirely sure you're going to like what Kaylin Mitchell has to say, but he'll say it anyway when we come back. Thursday evening, 19th day of March, so this is the last full day of the winter of 2020.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Not necessarily the last day of the winter.
No, let's face it. I mean, snow in the spring for the Maritimes, it happens, and there is some in the forecast here as we're moving into the first couple days of the spring season. It does start tomorrow with some flurries around the province of New Brunswick in the morning, and then those flurries will kind of drift a little bit further towards the west as we make our way into the afternoon, but lower chance that a few of them could show up in parts of Prince Edward Island, areas of the north and west of Nova Scotia for any given community in PEI and that north and western area of Nova Scotia. So Cumberland, Colchester counties, Hants County, down through the Annapolis Valley, Halifax and the South Shore. It's about a 30 or 40% chance. But there is a clipper system that'll be arriving later Friday evening and Friday night. And this is going to be bringing in snow. And you can see the snow developing across New Brunswick through that period of time, and a mixture of snow, ice pellets, and rain into the southwest of Nova Scotia. There is going to be some mix with that weather system as it continues to move through into and through Saturday morning, especially for Nova Scotia, but also around the Bay of Fundy coastline. Potential for snowfall accumulation, though, around 1 to 5 centimeters from that round for most communities in the Maritimes, maybe a little bit more in some of the higher terrain around the region. So this is a snow outlook. This is running basically from Friday, 6 p.m., so Friday evening all the way through until Saturday, 6 p.m., Saturday evening, so that 24-hour period of time. We have another weather system to talk about in the extended forecast, maybe a little bit more significant at the start of next week. We'll get to that in just a moment. But I do want to take a quick look at temperatures over the next 24 hours. So low temperatures tonight will be a few to several degrees below the freezing mark. Still cold for this far into the month of March, but not quite as cold as the last couple of nights were. And then tomorrow, high temperatures, 1 to 4 degrees in the north of New Brunswick. So the daytime highs tomorrow seeing a little bit of improvement over the past couple of days. 4 to 7 degrees for central and southern areas of New Brunswick. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow with high temperatures between 2 and 5 degrees. Into the east of Nova Scotia, Cape Breton with highs of 1 to 4. For the eastern shore and the north shore, high temperatures between 1 and 5. For northern and central parts of the province tomorrow, high temperatures between 3 and 5 degrees, low to mid single digits. The Annapolis Valley after a chilly start to the day with high temperatures of around 6. A little bit cooler at Digby, closer to 2. And on the south shore and in the southwest of Nova Scotia, it's 4. Bridgewater, Liverpool, and Shelburne, and then up to around 5 for Yarmouth. Now, the next weather system, this one's a little bit more potent, and it's expected to move in late Sunday, but maybe ongoing through the day on Monday. It's a developing low-pressure system that crosses and then exits the northeastern United States, moving to a position just south of the Maritime. So the issue with the weather system moving in just to the south of us this time of the year is it keeps some of the colder air in place, and that's why there is some snow so far in the forecast with this one. It does look like it'll be snow across southern areas of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and a mixture of snow, ice pellets, and rain for Nova Scotia, with most of the mix closer towards the Atlantic coastline of the province. Since this weather system, though, looks like it'll be ongoing through the day on Monday, the amount of snow that accumulates from it could be disruptive for us. There might be some areas that could be at risk of picking up some snowfall amounts in excess of 10 or maybe even 15 centimeters. So you're going to have to pay attention to that period in the forecast. Again, that's coming up Sunday night through Monday for the province of New Brunswick. Mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday, chance of flurries after that on Wednesday, and a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday of next week. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, we've got that relatively lighter mixture of snow, ice pellets, and rain moving through Friday night into Saturday. After that, that bigger weather system arriving Sunday night into Monday. That's followed by a mix of sun and cloud for Tuesday, a chance of flurries on Wednesday, and Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, we've got a mixture of snow and rain to get the weekend started. During the day on Sunday, it's increasing cloudiness, but some snow moving in Sunday night, and then snow or a mixture of snow and ice pellets possible through the day on Monday, followed by a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday, chance of flurries on Wednesday, and a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday of next week. Bruce.
I was just walking around the yard today thinking, whoa, this is so nice. Look, I'm not sinking, I'm not sliding. But I guess that's going to change. All right, thank you, sir. Wake up weather still to come. Stay with us. Be right back.
The #1 morning show in Halifax. Turk, Megan, and Amateur Alex. And home to the biggest artists. Halifax's #1 hit music station. 101.3 Virgin Radio.
So, where do you draw the line when it comes to tipping? Seems like more and more places are prompting customers for extra cash. And a new survey suggests that a lot of Canadians, frankly, are fed up with it. In fact, as CTV's Ryan McDonald tells us tonight, some people think we ought to do away with tipping altogether.
It used to mean a little something extra. Now, many feel it's become an expectation.
Absolutely, because everywhere we tip now. Like, I go to Tim Hortons and I go through a drive-thru and I get 1 cup of coffee for $2.
According to a new study commissioned by H&R Block, about 2/3 of Canadians, 67%, are fed up enough that they'd be fine with getting rid of tipping for good.
Just because you're doing your job doesn't mean you need to be tipped for doing your job.
Even for bare minimum service, they expect 18-20%.
The data found that 89% of Canadians have come to resent businesses with tip prompts that they don't think are warranted.
More and more businesses having tipping options, and that's where a lot of that fatigue is coming.
The head of the Restaurant Association of Nova Scotia says most people still seem happy to leave a tip when dining out, adding that while prompting largely started during the pandemic to help workers out, she feels that its presence at so many places other than restaurants is causing a lot of that tip fatigue.
That's skewing that data because people are being prompted to tip where they've never been prompted before.
Back at his pub in Sydney, Artem Mofford says their PIN pad prompts include an option of no tip, so customers don't feel awkward or obligated. But he says if everyone were to stop tipping, his business would suffer.
People would leave the industry, and one of the hardest things right now is getting people to work in our industry. So if you took tips away, you would lose some really good servers.
Ryan McDonald, CTV News.
Thank you, Ryan. Time for a quick little break, but when we return, spending March break at Gaelic camp. Here's a live look at Antigonish on this Thursday evening, currently -4. Kaylin will tell you what the morning shall bring when we come back.
Move Mornings with Aaron and Peter. Weekday mornings on Move 100. The most fun in the morning. And home of the $1,000 minute. Only on Move 100 Halifax.
Okay, the good news is it's Friday morning. The bad news is it's still going to need that winter coat, I guess.
Yeah, we've got cold temperatures for Friday morning. Most communities in the Maritimes, a few to several degrees below zero. There'll also be some Friday flurries on the go in the province of New Brunswick. Moving into the afternoon, there's a chance that a few of those flurries could reach Prince Edward Island and northern western areas of Nova Scotia. There will be an improvement, though, on Friday when it comes to the daytime high temperatures, which for most of the region will climb up towards the low to mid single digits, so that's up a little bit compared to the last couple of days. Bruce.
Take what we can get at this point. Thank you, sir. Children are getting the chance to explore the Gaelic arts at a unique March camp that's taking place in Cape Breton this week. Here's CTV's Ryan McDonald.
But he's not here at the Gaelic College's annual March break camp just to learn the language. He's majoring in fiddle here at the school in St. Anne's Bay. In fact, he moved to Nova Scotia from Calgary about 5 years ago, largely to study Celtic music.
I've been doing the instrument of violin itself for well over 13 years. Fiddle is kind of where my heart ended up sitting. And the culture that ensued around that was, honestly, it's who I'm becoming.
So they can work on their fiddle or their step dance or Highland dance or bagpipes or piano or guitar or piping.
A little something for everyone, a good thing given there are roughly 100 kids here for the week-long camp. Some are from off-island, a few others from out of province.
How.
And what does that mean?
How are you?
I got it. Some of the older students are already thinking about how they might be able to come back and give back as grown-ups.
I would hope that someday I might come back as an instructor or even a part-time employee.
Ryan McDonald, CTV News, St. Anne's Bay, Nova Scotia.
Thank you, Ryan. That is your late news for tonight. If you joined us a little bit late or you'd like to take a closer look at anything we've shown you and a whole lot more, ctvnewsatlantic.ca is your home for news updates right around the clock. I'm Bruce Frisco. Thank you for staying up late with us tonight. Have a good evening. We'll see you again tomorrow.